In this video, I wanted to share with you my answer to a question that came up within my group sleep coaching program called Sleep Skills for Life. And the reason I wanted to share this with you is because this is a question and a sleep dynamic that comes up quite frequently within my practice when I help people with long-term sleep problems or insomnia. So I thought that this will actually really help you to start maybe making steps towards a plan to improve your situation. Obviously, a word of warning, this is just one part of the entire conversation that I have had with the client. So it's important not to jump into conclusions and actually seek assessment for the sleep problems that you have rather than self-diagnose. But obviously, if you have any other questions around this, I'll be very happy to answer further things in the comment section. So now that we covered that, I'm just gonna sort of introduce myself to those of you who are new to my channel and thank those of you who are returning. So thank you so much for your continuous support for all the subscribers that keep coming back. So my name is Beatrix Schmidt. I'm a sleep coach, a professional speaker, and the creator of the Sleep Skills for Life program. Within my business, I work with people on a group coaching basis as well as a one-to-one basis. And the relevant bit about who I am and why am I the person talking about sleep is because I struggled with insomnia too. So I know how it feels not to be able to sleep well. And for the last 8 years, I've been working with clients just like you to finally help them to overcome their sleep problems and sleep really well and develop what I call sleep skills. That's a very good question, especially when I have your sleep diary in front of me. Okay, so let's untangle this a little bit. I'm pretty sure it's going to be helpful for others as well. When you have the belief that one good night or maybe two good nights are almost always guaranteed, quote unquote, guaranteed to be followed by a not so good one or a bad one, that's a belief. Now, often belief is going to be based on memory and experience. So you would have experienced that version of the dynamic because you struggle with sleep in whatever shape or form that is. So that dynamic would have come from a memory. Your brain knows that it happened before. Generally, that's why the memories play a role in a lot of the work that we do, because the memories, the more they repeat, the more they end up actually pushing your brain and your mind towards preparing for it. So for example, you know that, let's say for the last 3 months, most often when you had 1 or 2 nights of good sleep, it was always followed by a not so good one, or maybe you call it a bad one. So we look at the memory bank. Your brain retained the memory. One of the reasons the brain retains the memory is because you want to prepare better for the future. That's as human beings, we look at a dangerous situation or a threat and we want to untangle it, learn from it so that we can prevent it in the future. That's very much part of our human being. Now, looking at your sleep diary, and I want you to look at your week of the 12th, that's not quite exactly true, is it? Because you had 2 nights in a row that was pretty decent, one that was not so decent, one that was a little bit slightly worse than the other, and then you had some improvement. So if your belief is that after every single good night, it's going to be followed by a bad one, your sleep diary does not match that, because you had 2 good ones in your very specific example. So if you had 2 better nights, that means one better is not followed by another bad one, because 2 of them were together. The third one wasn't as good as the previous 2, but it wasn't as bad as some of your previous ones either. So now your belief of one night followed by a bad one isn't actually true in exactly that way. Obviously, at the moment, you're still improving, you're still processing the things that you learned. Obviously, after Christmas, you've had a bit of a step back. But your belief of what you just said before is not actually exactly true in that shape or form anymore. And then when you look at it and you actually start recognizing that what you just believed isn't quite true the same way as it was before, you've now changed your belief. And so one of the other reasons I wanted to say this is because when you look at your sleep diary for the week before, it was more true than not. So your belief of what you just said was more true. But even that week, so the week of the 4th, what followed after a good night was not exactly the same bad every time. So for example, after the 4th, you had a decentish night, not 5-time nighttime wakings, but it was only 3, which means it wasn't terrible. One of the ones you had, which was a 9th, that was a good night, that was followed by a very difficult one. But even what you perceive as very bad ones, and we'll reframe that, you're not sleeping nothing. You are getting some sleep, which means it's not really that bad. It feels bad, but you are getting some sleep. So instead of sort of celebrating and acknowledging maybe more that, you know what, I actually had some sleep and that's a positive, you're saying I didn't have enough sleep and that becomes terrible. So I want you to hang on to this idea of just because the past was like that, it doesn't mean my future is like that. So when you had 1 or 2 nights of good sleep, when you're approaching your, let's say, 3rd night or whatever night that is, and you start hearing your mind saying, you know what, oh gosh, I'm a bit concerned about this because I had a good one. Maybe tonight isn't going to be so great, or whatever the mind chatter is. I want you to stop your mind and I want you to have a chat with it. This is where you can also take out your sleep diary and say, is that really true what you're saying to me? And I can see from your sleep diary that it isn't quite true in a way that your mind is saying it to you. So when you're approaching this night of, oh, I'm not really sure what's going to happen because last night was a pretty good one, what I want you to think about and have a chat with your mind about is that let's not take it out of context. I can't tell the future. I don't know what's going to happen tonight, even if I think I know what's going to happen tonight. And how about we just see what happens? No pressure. So don't put pressure on, I must sleep as well as I did last night. So that's pressure. But say, okay, well, what if we can repeat last night? That was good. My body and your mind could create it, which means it's possible. So you either believe you can or you believe you can't. And that's kind of a little bit of the gist of what you talked about. So moving forward, when you feel a little bit of this nervousness that tonight isn't going to be so great, have that conversation and have a chat with your mind to say, don't take it out of context and you don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'll have a good one. Okay? That's a belief bit. We've got to address the belief of this pattern that you think is true, but it's no longer really exactly true. Okay, now that we have covered that, I would love to hear what you've taken away from this video, how it resonated in terms of your sleep problems, And obviously, if you don't struggle with this bit of the sleep problem and this bit that I've talked about, then there's going to be other things that I'll be discussing in the coming weeks. But just for this one, comment below and let me know what you've taken away, a learning that you've taken away from this video. And of course, if you have any other questions, then feel free to pop that down as well. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit that little bell so I can let you know when I post new videos like these and some others as well. And hit that like button below so that actually YouTube can recognize that this was value to you. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for those of you who are returning. I really appreciate your continuous support, and I will see you in the next video.